Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you will notice, we're in an environment here, and this is going to be our test environment that we're going to conduct the remainder of the DVD on. And it currently has Windows XP installed. If you look here, you will notice that we have Oracle VirtualBox running on this computer, and that's because this is a software machine, which means it's not a physical machine, but it runs as a program on another computer. And you can actually replicate this. It would be really helpful to you, in fact, if your computer can support it. Setting up a virtual box is not covered in the scope of this DVD, but it's simple enough to do. There are plenty of places you can go out to find out how to do it. Aside from this, we have 3 browsers installed, and these 3 browsers really represent the majority of what you're going to run across out there. Most people are either going to have Internet Explorer, especially if you have Windows. Internet Explorer comes by default on there, so you have to have Internet Explorer. It's going to be on there somewhere. We have Firefox, and we also have Chrome. So most people that you run across are either going to have one of these 3 browsers, and that's the reason why I included them on our base install. The only other item that we have on here, which you may not have on a typical machine, is going to be Microsoft Office, and that's really not going to influence our troubleshooting or anything like that. That's just on here just in case I need to use any visual aids or bring up any documents or anything. So this is our environment, and this is what we're going to spend the remainder of the DVD on. And I'm going to also pull up a Windows 7 test environment as well a little bit later, just to run over a few technicalities as far as things that are slightly different on Windows 7 versus Windows XP. But for the most part, everything that you do on this environment is going to be possible as well on a Windows 7 environment. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and get started with our tools. The first thing I'm going to do is to create a folder that's called Tools. And the purpose for creating this folder called Tools is that eventually the contents of this folder, the tools that we download, are going to be placed on a thumb drive if you have one available. And the purpose for putting them on a thumb drive is so that if you have a badly infected machine that can't get onto a network, then you can still have your tools available to do a scan on that machine and clean the machine even if you can't get to the internet immediately. And you'll notice that a few of the tools that we have they have offline definition files for just such occasions. So the first tool that we're going to go ahead and get is Malwarebytes. And just FYI, Malwarebytes is compatible with Windows 2000, Windows 7, Windows XP, Windows Server 2003, and Windows Vista. And that's for the 32-bit and 64-bit versions. So that's one good thing that you don't necessarily have to worry about, is whether Malwarebytes will run on those operating systems because it's been tested on them. So in your favorite search engine, you can go ahead and type in Malwarebytes, and I'm going to go to the official website just so I can show you. There are 3 different versions of this software. There's a corporate or volume licensing version of it. There's a paid or professional version of the software, which is worth a second look because it enables you to have a service that runs on your computer that can nick a lot of different infections in the bud before they even take hold on your machine. And we also have the free version, which is just for scanning your machine. And for what we're going to be using it for, the free version is more than fine. So I'm going to go ahead and click on download, and I'm going to go ahead and click on download now. And depending on your browser, you may get a link from here that goes ahead and tells you you can download. For Internet Explorer, it's going to give me this bar across the top for IE8, and I'm going to go ahead and click on download file, and this time around it's going to go ahead and let me actually download the file. And I'm going to go ahead and save this under our tools directory, and it's the same tools directory that exists under our desktop, and I'm going to save this file. And of course you're going to notice I'm not installing it just because we're not going to install it per se on this machine. If this is the machine that has the infection and you can get to the internet and you can download the file, then sure, by all means do it. The second file that we're going to download pertaining to Malwarebytes is going to be the offline definitions file. And this file can actually be attained from malwarebytes.gt500.org/database.jsp. And you'll see that we have the application download, but we also have our manual updating installer here. So I'm gonna go ahead and download the mbam-rules.exe file here and save that to our tools directory as well. And this way, if you have a machine that's infected but it can't get to the internet, you can just run this file and it's going to automatically update the Malwarebytes database to have the latest definitions per the last time that you downloaded this file. So this file is going to be a file that you're going to want to update a few times a week just to make sure you have the latest version of this file in case you run across a computer that you can't get to the internet on. And once this is done, we're going to go ahead and close this out. And you can see here under our tools directory we have 2 files, and from here we're going to go ahead and move on to our next tool, which is Spybot Search and Destroy. So getting started on our next tool, which is Spybot Search and Destroy, I'm going to go ahead and pull up my browser again, and once again in your favorite search engine, go ahead and type in Spybot Search Destroy. Alright, mistyped my destroy there, but that's fine, I picked it up. And the website for Spybot Search and Destroy is safernetworking.org. So you want to make sure that wherever you get it, that you get it from there. And it's going to prompt you for your language, and of course I'm talking English. And we're going to click on download. And from here, we're going to go ahead and click on the link right here. You'll notice that we have a few different files that we can download. We're only going to be focused on the first 2 files, which are going to be the actual application and the detection updates, which are just like the Malwarebytes offline definitions that we just attained from their website. So I'm going to go ahead and download the actual application. You click on the box that's on the right hand side and it takes you to this website, and from here we're going to go ahead and click on download here on that first link. Now be wary of some of these sites because you'll notice this is an ad up here. So it's giving me an ad and it's saying start download, and of course if you're not paying attention you may click on this ad, but of course that's not going to actually download the file that you're looking for. In this case we're going to click on this link that's over here on the side. This says download Spybot Search and Destroy. So you want to make sure that you look at what you're downloading and what you're clicking on. And it's giving me my bar up top. I'm going to go ahead and download file, and I'm going to save it to my tools directory on the desktop. And clicking on save. And we're done. And the next item I'm going to go ahead and download was the second item in this list, which is the detection updates. And you're also going to want to download this file very often, at least a few times a week, just to make sure that you have the most up-to-date version of this file. And the download for this file in the past has been a little bit slower than the application, even though it's not as large. Okay, but it's speeding along this time. And now we have the two parts of the equation on this program, which are the application and the updated virus definitions available for offline installation. And the next program that we're going to go ahead and grab is going to be Hitman Pro. Now, Hitman Pro is slightly different from the two programs that we just downloaded in that Hitman Pro doesn't have to be installed. You can just execute Hitman Pro and it'll do a scan on your computer, and there's nothing that you have to uninstall after you're done if you don't want to have it around. And I'm a little bit biased toward those programs such as Spybot Search and not Spybot Search and Destroy, but Hitman Pro and also Combo Fix, because I just don't like to have a lot of extra programs on my computer. But these tools work fine as well as far as Malwarebytes and Spybot Search and Destroy. So if we check our tools directory, once again you'll see that we have our other two files now, which are Spybot Search and Destroy and the includes, which are the offline definition files. And so the next file that we're going to go ahead and grab is going to be Hitman Pro. So now we're about to go ahead and get Hitman Pro, and gonna go ahead and pull my browser back up here, and we're just gonna type in Hitman Pro, and the current version of Hitman Pro is 3.5. so I'm gonna go ahead and click on that, and the place that we want to go to is the actual Surfright website. That's the maker of Hitman Pro, and I'm going to click on this, and you can see we have their website here. And what's going to really concern us here is that there are two different versions of this software. There's a 64-bit version and a 32-bit version. Now if you want to, you could get both. Increasingly more and more we're seeing 64-bit operating systems, but just looking down below here, you'll notice what it is actually compatible with, and you can see it's compatible with Windows XP, Windows Vista 2000, Server 2003, Server 2008, and Windows 7. And of course we have our 64-bit and our 32-bit bases covered. In this case, I'm going to grab the 32-bit version of the software because our test environment is a 32-bit machine. So I'm going to go ahead and click on download now, and I got my bar across the top, and I'm going to save this file in our tools directory, which is defaulted to. I'm going to save the application. And now we are good to go with Hitman Pro. And if you check out the tools directory now, we have Hitman Pro there in the folder. And the next program we're going to go ahead and get is going to be Combo Fix, which is a similar program, but it doesn't look as flashy as Hitman Pro does, but it does just as good of a job. As promised, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to get our program called Combo Fix here,